Yasters. I don't know what we're calling people who watch us.
Right?
Tell us what we should call you.
Yeah, what do you want to be called? Otherwise, we'll make it up.
Hey, it's okay. Our group is Fearsome Six. I don't care. That's who we are. It's happening.
I just don't feel very afeared of
The
me.
fact that you did not call yourself Big Heroes 6 makes
Yeah,
me
right. Big Heroes 6. I thought of that like 3 hours after the whole
It's
thing.
I don't.
Whatever, there's
Disney
six.
doesn't need more shit. Doesn't need more stuff. They don't need more money.
Yeah, and we don't need to risk getting sued.
Right. Hey.
Like, you Heroes 6. Like, and then that's not, it's gigantic hero.
We should catch people up on why. So.
Yeah. So Sarah's clearly in the car.
So we
Driving.
had
Sarah's
plans
being
to
very
do the
safe right
OOC
now.
today, and it's supposed to be real chill, real calm. It's going to be like probably pretty short. But we also had got our glorious DM a gift. It was dropped off, and we were hoping that the DM would join us today. When we contacted said DM, said DM was in the middle of a park. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Austin and Houston are both full of lovely parks. There's no good reason to not be in a park.
Yeah.
It is a city in a park. Yeah.
Yep.
So then we explained that there was a package at her place.
And then we have DM in a car.
Dashing back. And it was very funny.
Getting live, you
in
covered
the car,
me driving, and I'm maybe 5 minutes from my apartment. So let's start talking about world building and winter holidays and stuff.
Yes. Cool.
Actual topic.
Yeah.
Is we'll be piggybacking on what we piggyback. We piggyback a lot. Is piggybacking on our culture building. Do we have a culture building series? Who's auditing this class? I need to know. So we started talking about winter holidays in our chat, just generally, like about our Earth winter holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of started.
May have been like a sneaky way to get some information out of Sarah, but also
it might have been. There might have been a few sneaky things. So, are you getting nervous?
We also we have in our group we have people that celebrate several different earthly holidays.
Right.
So like we have a very varied, but a lot of them do take place during the winter. So we have in the group of people playing. So yeah.
So that kind of got us talking about how all of our characters would be doing different things because literally all of our characters come from different backgrounds from each other.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, we should think about what our winter holidays kind of look like, what they mean to us, and our holidays generally. Like, what does a cycle look like? I remember because we were talking about solstices versus equinoxes, and we were like, we can't have an equinox, because of the celestial nature of this planet that we're on. For people who don't remember, wow, that was weird. There is one main moon that is always out, and then there are 4 other moons which sort of come and go depending on what our people would then determine to be seasons. So that would be important coming up. But at any rate, we wanted to spend today talking to you about our made-up holidays. Oh wait, that was weird. Did you go through the tunnel? There are like no tunnels.
So like I actually found it kind of funny because like I am generally I'm really good at like making stuff up on the fly. Like I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm decent at improv. But like I'm pretty good at, answering like questions and that sort of thing. But I am generally, I feel, one of the least pre-prepared. Like part of my process is y'all asking me questions like, hey, what are your funerary practices? And I'm like, oh, well, hold on real quick, I can come up with an answer in less than 10 seconds, but I'm coming up with an answer right now. But I just found it interesting that like I suddenly came up with like this whole background, and Tanya, who like isn't
really
like
prepared.
is super pre-prepared.
Scribbled a bunch of notes this morning.
Ooh, I did nothing. I have nothing for Aster. Because my whole thing is like with.
I will say, you guys saw Alyssa and I make shit up on like while we were playing. Like she starts talking about resurrections. I'm like, well, I guess that's what happens now. Like, and so I'm like, yeah, no, it's more like it's less about like lichdom and more about just like resurrection and stuff.
Spoilers for the episode that hasn't come out yet.
I know. You guys have got to hang around for the Lich Kitties. Definitely watch episode 10.
Happy holidays, Eleanor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Eleanor is watching, and I want to wish that adorable child happy holidays.
Happy holidays. All right.
Now for
how much time do we got to kill, Sarah?
Holiday.
Dude, Aster, like, the whole thing, like, because with Aster, like, with the race of elves that Aster is, there's, like, it's hard because everything is dependent on their, like, personality and shit. So, I, like, in talking about stuff that'll happen, like, in-game months forever from now, whenever winter happens, it's, like, so much to think about, and I'm like, I don't want to give away so much.
Yeah, there's that whole walking the line between spoilers. Oh, we don't want to call them spoilers. What are they, like, exclusive peaks?
The metagaming.
I don't think I mind, like
the meta, the world meta.
Yeah.
Because, like, I briefly talked about funerary practices of Minotaurs in an OOC, and then I still thought, again, watch episode 10, that the first moment that we really get to see it in game is actually kind of funny. It's touching, but a little silly. It was meant from the heart.
The tagline for, like, how we approach this: touching, but a little silly. Yeah. That sort of sums up most of our actions.
Yep.
It was meant well.
I will say this, like, whatever the equivalent to Christmas is in our world, 100% House Dauntless would go full out about it. Because I mean, you got to be extra. Sure. So
I feel like, are there, like, floats in a parade?
Get your butts prepared for your winter holiday, because it's a fun one.
Nice.
Yay. Okay. So we did talk about how everybody has their own kind of thing, and then Pax might be on a little later to talk about, because Robin is from a very urban area, like basically our version of New York. There's a whole, or Houston or Miami, or that basically there's such a hodgepodge of celebrations going on within the city that there's nothing that's particularly dominant. And we did talk about, because here where we play in America, we have a dominant holiday that tends to override the other holidays or overshadow the other holidays. And it's going to be, I guess, interesting to see how that plays out in our fantasy world. Does our fantasy world have a name? Like, does it have an Earth equivalent?
Not yet.
Place your votes down below, folks.
Sorts of things. Give us your fan names.
We are not doing this by committee, because then it's going to be called Planet McPlanet Face.
It is.
Honestly.
We get to pick, though. That's the thing. They can put their suggestions, and we don't have to pick, but we could pick. But we will not have to be married to Planet Face.
Yep.
This is not a democratic approach. This is a...
This is a republic.
Out of the car! Oh, we're getting somewhere else now.
Oh my goodness, we're out of the car.
I'm at my apartment complex. I'm walking to my apartment right now.
Okay,
so
we're getting there.
Also, can we talk about how adorable is it a capelet that you were wearing?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I see the bow, and it's super cute.
Oh, Sarah's just frozen for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
okay, I just want to make sure.
So now we can all talk about what is this piece of wardrobe that she's wearing. That whatever it is super cute.
So like, I would love to learn from Sarah on how to sew, and also like I have the small motor skills of a toddler. And so, like,
in that case, don't get like a super modern slick machine. If you can get like a vintage sewing machine where you can control the speed way better and go slower, it will not be as intimidating because modern machines go real fast.
I hear you, and I appreciate that input. And I don't know that I'm just going to do it at all.
That's fair. If you do, like, you get to that point, that's
the closest to like hand done art that I've ever really been mildly successful at is ceramics. And that's just really because I like the physics of an old school kiln, where they use the cones to have the little bar drop through and automatically turn it off. The physics is what really gets me on that, not the actual like art. And is anybody actually
surprised? I know. I always say that clearly very ironically.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna
We got it. Somebody shake Sarah.
Yeah, right.
Does that work?
I've started working on my Arya cosplay, as people have seen on Facebook. I got a blister from it already.
Some of us saw it in person.
Yeah. The belts, like, from poking holes in the belts to, like, sew it all together, I cry. Because now I have a blister from it now. And then I went to work yesterday, and, yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears, my friends.
Yep.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
I can't keep working on it because I ran out of cording. And the new cord doesn't come till the 28th.
Oh.
Maybe I'll just dye what I have. I don't have dye either. I have to get dye.
As Sarah said, does Sarah know we can't? Okay. Emily said.
Oh.
Emily said.
Oop. 3 folks. There we go. Oh,
wait.
We go.
Now we're back to 4.
It's very exciting now. What's happening?
Oh,
blue dots.
Yay!
I'm sitting down at my computer now. Okay. I have this. And it says, do not open until instructed by Yas Cast.
Yes.
So I'm waiting till I am instructed.
I mean,
you are now instructed.
You are so instructed.
I am so instructed. Okay.
Oh, Pax just said I literally signed up for Twitch just to be here. Oh gosh.
All right.
For this moment?
I will say, you guys,
you made it
right
just
now,
in time.
My cat is so confused.
Look! Segment! String!
Oop. The mod timed out Pax because it said Pax was spamming. Oops. Whoops. Sorry.
Hey, whoever wrapped this is amazing because I use a lot of tape and this is how I wrap things. There's a big joke in my family that you can tell if I've wrapped something because you can't get to it because there's too much tape.
You hear that, Maggie?
Maggie's watching as well. Maggie's watching as well. Her and Pax are both just talking in the chat. Oh, now Pax is following us on Twitch. Yay!
Thanks for following your own show.
Right.
If I had a Twitch, I'd follow.
Okay. First layer is down. Okay.
Yay! It's all very exciting.
Oh.
I've never done an unboxing before. This is kind of exciting.
I did one on Facebook once when I first got my... Oh, yay, another follower! Yay! Maggie follows us now.
Tag it, we're doing an unboxing. That always gets people's attention.
I could probably... Let me see.
Okay, I got a note.
Yep.
Yes.
From the reaches of Rendenhurst to the waves of the astral sea, a bright winter dark to you from the Yascast. Stitchery Geekery. Maggie Conrad. Ooh, hello, Stitchery Geekery. I'm assuming you might...
Who is watching?
One that made my little Ursa, my little Dragonborn.
There's the face.
Look at it! You guys!
TV Lucara.
Look who it is! It's my perfect little Goliath lesbian.
The tiniest Goliath ever.
The tiniest Goliath lesbian in the world. Look at her. Isn't she perfect? I love her. Segment, she's not yours. You can have the box, though.
You can have the box, though.
Segment, you can have the box. Segment, here. You can have this.
Pax just said it's almost like we've been asking you pointed questions.
I know. They're like, Sarah, who's your favorite NPC? And I'm like, I don't know.
I just want to pat on the back because I guessed right. Because they were like, who should we do? And I'm like, Lucara.
Right.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know that much about the name Lucara, Lucara is the name of Kaelus's wife. Kaelus being the founder of the Klingon Empire. So Lucara is named after this like mythical Klingon warrior goddess lady. And so that's where her name came from, and that's who she is.
For people who haven't actually watched any or listened to any of our episodes yet, this is an NPC from our show.
And she's got her white hair, and then do we want to get meta about this? Do we want to explain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
on the big train coaster.
So this is something that even the cast is not aware of. So Lucara is a Goliath. But she is a special kind of Goliath in that she has actually frost giant blood in her background, and that is why she has white hair as opposed to having black hair. And she's got 3 braids on one side and 1 braid on the other side that are dyed different colors. The 1 braid that's like the bigger braid on one side is black, and then she's got 3 braids on the other side, a kind of like a fawn color, a blonde, and kind of a russet orangey red. The black hair is for her wife because her wife has black hair. And the other 3 colors are the colors of her kids' hair or feathers. So her oldest daughter is a dwarf and she has this kind of like brown hair. Her middle son is a Aarakocra, and he is kind of like an eagle Aarakocra. And so he has his feathers are kind of like this color. And then her youngest kid is a halfling and has this kind of red colored hair. So these are her way of keeping her family with her at all times, even when she's out doing stuff in the Emerald Weald.
Maggie
so that's what that is.
Maggie just said that she's got to get off, and she says happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I know we've never met, but I love her so much. She's so great.
Also, Pax got timed out again. Our mod bot is too good. I fixed it. Pax should not get muted anymore after their 600-second timeout. The mod bot really did that.
Annika, I don't know if Amelie has sent you the information, but this is the person who made this wonderful thing, and I can't get it to focus.
It's Stitcher Geekery. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so if Annika has this information, they can put it in the chat, and we can put it in when it comes up on YouTube and everything. Thank you guys so much. I love her. I'm going to try to keep her. She's going to join my other 2 plushes that I have on my bed, which one is a narwhal and one is a fox. So I'll have a narwhal, a fox, and a Goliath lesbian.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
Yep.
So yes, I love her. She's so soft. Oh my god. As those of you who know that I sew, like, it's one of my favorite things to do in the world, but I have never been good at making plushies, and I'm like, how do you do it? Explain to me your ways.
Maggie will. Absolutely.
I'm just like,
So,
oh. Well, mostly it's me.
Cool thing about Maggie is Maggie actually was also my first DM as an adult. When I got back into D&D, Maggie was my first DM. She was the one who approached me and was like, "Hey, I would like to do an all women's D&D campaign." At the time, we all identified as women, and it was quite punny. And oh yeah, and it was just a really fun, positive way for me to get back into role playing in a way that I felt comfortable, and I got to explore this part of me that I had not been able to for years. And so Maggie is so important to me, and I really appreciate. Oh,
Hey.
and also
We
Maggie
call this
sent us
upstaging in the theater
pictures.
world.
Yeah, Maggie sent us
Oh
pictures,
yeah, we have pictures.
of
Yes.
her daughter playing with Lucar.
We'll post them on Facebook.
Yeah,
we'll put them in the Facebook group.
All of Maggie's plushies are approved by her daughter, and Lucara was like, you almost didn't get Lucara, is what I'm saying.
If she wants to make another Lucara, she can. What was it? I'm going to post this on my personal Twitter, and then if you want to link it to the Yas, and then if there's any pictures that Maggie feels comfortable having her picture or daughter's picture up wherever.
We've already asked permission.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
We've been
you
busy
guys,
little elves.
I'll retweet yours, and then I'll
orcs
tweet
and
the other ones
King
as well.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, so now let's talk religion. That was fun, everybody.
That was great.
Let's talk religion.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I guess I have nothing, so you guys can go.
Yeah, so I had determined early on that Jack is not very religious. Like she based on the cultures that I'm basing Jack on, like East Asian and mountainous cultures, a natural option is basing it off of Confucius ideals, and I just happen to really like looking into Shinto personally, and so that kind of spiritualism, that everything has a soul, um, and so I think it's much more of a built-in cultural, like, this is just how you do things, rather than being a faith that she follows in particular. Like, all this talk about gods just really just confuses the heck out of her. But she does live in the mountains, and so yeah, the change in seasons is going to be a big deal for her family and for her people. So because we don't quite have a solstice type calendar in this world, but there is a time when the mountain roads are going to become impassable. And so this celebration that they do celebrate, like the day that people, the merchants come home, and everyone just starts to settle into their homes, because there's not going to be any traveling. Like, going outside is just not as plausible anymore. And so, because also the harvest is done, the meats have started are being salt, are already put away in their salt, and they are, or they've in the smoker and that sort of thing. Everything's the preservation process has already been started. Now it's a time of waiting. It's a period where everyone can kind of relax and just take time to be with their family. And so I realized that that's a great time for, you know, the artists to start working on their work. So the when the equivalent to the Yule, our Yule celebrations and our Winter Dark celebrations and our Christmas and gift giving and that sort of thing. The gift giving is not going to happen until the uh, planting restarts, because that's when everyone has been creating these gifts that they're going to be giving.
I love that. That is a great like way to conceptualize that we worked on these things over this season and now we gift them. I think that's I didn't put gift giving in mine either. In my winter holiday. So the Minotaurs, at least the city that I'm from, is basically it's downriver from where Jack is. And at basically the end of where the plains meet the foothills of what will become the mountains. And so we don't necessarily have the impassable road problem in the winter, but we definitely, I mean, there's no more crops coming in, and it's settling in for the longer, thinner, times. And when I started thinking about it, because me and a group of friends, we use the term winter dark to talk about this time of year on Earth, right? And for that, we're talking about basically collectively all these different cultures, holidays like Diwali and Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa, and et cetera, that have to do with light in the darkness and community and brightness, that they all have these kind of elements to them. And I wanted to kind of use that same hook when thinking about what to do with the Minotaurs. So I started with this idea of light. And in especially like Northern European and other cultures that have that herd animals, right? Bonfires at this time, and like bringing the herd close to heat and stuff is a thing that happens. And I wanted to kind of bring that in. So I started with the idea. So if you're not familiar with what Minoan cities look like, definitely Google like Knossos and any of these like remaining anything that has archaeological remains, so that you can see the layout. But they are very much where we get the idea of the Minotaur in the maze. So they are rectangle square construction cities, and they basically are in tiers, and they move in towards a big plaza in the center. And so that is the way I conceptualize Minotaur cities here in Name This Planet. So I started with the idea of a bonfire in the middle of the plaza as this idea of light, and that's what I wanted to start with. But then I had this idea that the whole thing should be about multiplying light. So that bonfire is surrounded by luminaria, and the luminaria all represent the souls of Minotaurs that have passed on, right? Whoever is important. It doesn't just have to be from the last year or whatever. Like if you can think of a person, if you can, or a Minotaur, if you can still tell stories of that Minotaur or whatever, they get a light, and that goes again in the plaza. Everybody wears white, and wears white ribbons. And at the beginning, like basically as the darkness falls, and I picture this happening. So remember what I said about the moons. So there's two moons right now. There's the main moon and there's like the winter moon. But during the winter time, there will be a moment where both moons are basically new moons. And it's that astronomical moment, the first time that would happen in a season, or the only time that would happen in a season that this holiday occurs on. So it's not like it has a set date. It's astronomically determined. So it is what would be the equivalent of the darkest night, right? Neither moon is visible. And everybody brings a candle and they sing songs, right? And they blow the horns of their ancestors. And when that part of the celebration is over, everybody takes their candles to the four corners of the city where they light 4 bonfires on the outskirts as opposed to inside. So they're taking that light from the inside to the outside. And then everybody goes home and gets the food that they have been preparing for this day. And they have all these tables all around the outside of the plaza. And they basically have a huge potluck festival that goes late into the night. And my concept for this is Minotaurs are so herd oriented, right? Everything is about community. And so what this moment is for them is not just the usual meeting and uplifting of the community, but talking about how, because we are a community, because we are a society, we will make it through the lean times, right? Everything that we accomplish as Minotaurs is not because of one Minotaur or any, singular hero. It is because we are a herd. And this is one of those sort of moments in their religion where they affirm that idea that everything that they achieve is through their connectedness. And I named it Meteribos Luke, which is I'm very sorry to all Greek people, but I did, to create the Minotaur language, I basically have taken Greek words or Greek phonemes and sort of played with them a bit. But I chose that to mean sort of the brightness that follows the darkness is kind of the name that I wanted to stick on there. And so that's what Minotaurs do. And to be clear, I'm not a Minotaur. We're going to keep saying it. To be clear, I'm not a Minotaur.
So the way that I have, because everybody kind of basically has, the way that we've done this is if you are somebody from a specific culture, Orc, Minotaur, Eladrin, Tabaxi, whatever it is, I basically said, you create your culture, go for it, go. Give me some parameters, I'll help you help things out. But then there are some things that are less cultural and more universal. Right. So that's the difference between having like a cultural or a religious holiday and then having like a universal kind of
secular kind of holiday.
Secular holiday. It's like the difference between doing something like, it's like the difference between like Christmas and Memorial Day. Like yeah. There are things that are like, Christmas is a religious holiday and Memorial Day is something that is celebrated in the United States to memorial for people that have lost their lives in war and stuff like that. So it's a secular holiday, but it's still a bank holiday, So it's kind of like that in the area in and around Rindenhurst, in which what you guys went to for the summer swell, it had some tones of religion because of Melora. But it also was fairly a secular holiday because it's just general. It's not about like, it's about the changing of the seasons. The seasons are going to change, religious orientation or not. Like the seasons are just going to happen. It doesn't matter, what deity is your main deity, what your religious structure is. The seasons are going to change. And so that's kind of why the seasons are so important to me as a DM, because that gives me a chance to do things that are technically sort of a-religious, but still inviting and creating these holidays. So the Summer Swell is celebrating, it was called the Summer Swell for a reason, because that was when the river, the Castor River, is the most abundant and it's swelling with fish. And so that's why they have fishing competitions, and a lot of it is focused on the river, is because that's the time when the fish are most plentiful. And that's just a matter of geography. That's a matter of ecology. That's not a matter of religion. And then, so you are there, spoiler alert,
there is going to be, or whatever, meta world building alert, I don't know. Yes, there is going to be a harvest festival, because my favorite season here on Earth is the autumn. I love it. It's the best. I'm like, give me all of the autumnal tones, and like, give me it all. So there will be a specific harvest celebration, which is actually going to be, because the main agricultural crop is rice. So it's going to be around Rendenhurst is rice. So it's going to be harvest, but it's going to be a lot of rice stuff. So y'all get ready for some sushi. And then the winter festival is takes place actually on what Tanya's talking about, the same night of the year as the Minotaur Festival. It's the night that, and it's different each year because it's a lunar based thing. So it's whatever day is going to be both the new moon for both moons. That's when it happens, and so it's different each year. That is, but that is also the night of the brightest star. So, and so it's called Serenarian. And for those of you who speak Welsh, you're welcome. If you don't speak Welsh, that's what Google translates for. I'll let you.
But how many letters are in it?
It's not that many. It's S-E-R. I will spell it for you. S-E-R-E-N. Seren. Arian. A-R-I-A-N. Serenarian. So have fun with that. Yeah. So that's what does that mean? What does Serenarian mean? It's really fun. And if you know Welsh, congratulations on knowing
being Welsh.
On being Welsh. It's like me and three other, it's like very few people who aren't Welsh that are like, yeah. Anyway, I say Ron Wells, so fun. And then there will be a spring festival, but we haven't gotten there yet. And that's going to be mostly because we've had one about fish. We're going to have one about rice. And then there's one about darkness and light. And then the one in the spring will probably be about livestock, because that is when new livestock are born. So that one is probably going to be the one where there are goats and sheep and cattle and all of that stuff. That's like celebration of livestock. Because
I did a spring one too, because I was on a roll.
Okay. So
based on that, I am gonna say that like there was a lot that probably the orcs have a lot of communication with that particular, like, orcish culture, and that celebration are pretty in lockstep because of the livestock, like, absolutement. Orcs have livestock and root vegetables, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing is because all of these are sort of a-religious because they just happen. It happens that the fish are the most abundant during the end of the summer, right before fall. It also happens that like rice has to be harvested. Well, the other fruits and vegetables that are.
I mean, I think of
around.
it like if anybody has lived in, especially like in or near rural America, you will learn that there's like a watermelon festival, right? It's the pumpkin festival, the blueberry festival, like whatever is going on, people are going to throw a big party about it. That's because
the blueberry we had in my hometown, Nacogdoches, Texas, we had the blueberry festival. And then in the winter we had the Nine Flags Festival, because look up some history about that. Nacogdoches had 9 flags, not just 6.
Hail, hail, Fredonia.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Sarah and I make random knack like references, and like 3 people are gonna get it on the whole planet.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So I wanted to keep the holidays celebrated by the town of Rendenhurst and the surrounding areas fairly a-religious, based on lunar calendars or things that are just happening in the world. Like I said, fish abundance, rice harvesting, darkest night, and then baby animals being born. Like that happens every year. Like it's just what happens, and there could be some people will attribute religious connotations to them, like the worship of Melora, and whatever it is. But you don't have to, because these things just happen.
So I kind of think about that with the with the Minotaurs, because there's nothing overtly religious about any of the holidays that I've developed. It literally is seasonal because they're coups, right?
Yeah.
But that, and they have a dual deity. So they have Tempest, Saloon, I think is what I said. I don't have my notes in front of me. And so there's always going to have that overlaid people. It'll, this is a deity that'll get mentioned or whatever. But the heart of what happens each season is that the season has changed, but we are still here as a herd, and we will move forward through the cycle as a herd because that's what makes us strong. And that's kind of what anchors, Minotaurs. Okay, so for people who don't know Minoan culture, we are being very obscure today with stuff, I feel. I don't know.
Welsh, Minoan.
Someone, and I'm the person who didn't come prepared for anything, so.
Did you live in Nacogdoches?
I mean,
that's fine. You're recording.
Preparation is like a loose word for me.
I'll just base everything House Dauntless does on Vikings. They got the Viking funeral, and it might just because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla this whole goddamn time, but the Yule Festival is going on in the game right now, so like...
It makes so much sense, because Vikings were actually very egalitarian as far as like gender and sexuality.
Yes!
And so like House Dauntless, like the women, the money, god damn it. Like,
they were also like real pretty and like really obsessed with the way they looked. Like there's
beard. Like if you want to talk about beard oils, beard oils and jewelry, and they loved opals and amber and
Like my treasure necklace is like 50 different types of stone and some dingle dangle things because bling. So
it only makes sense for how Dauntless to be from the mountains and just be like, yeah, fuck it, we pretty. Like that's what
the Yule Festival is going on right now in Assassin's Creed, and like your whole town is just like covered in snow, and like the rest of the world isn't. So like when you're like riding on a horse to your town and it just changes to snow, it's the coolest thing.
That happens in Minecraft. You're like riding through the desert and then like suddenly snow.
Yeah.
Like nothing makes sense.
So if we ever make that,
I don't play video games, but David has been playing a little bit of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and
it's so fun.
He showed me the unicorn ship.
My brother has that ship. Oh my god, my brother paid money for that.
I was like, no, you need that ship. Like that's
Lars
just
has
happening.
Lars got it.
All right, can I do my spring holiday since I wrote it down?
Yeah, sure.
Do I get bonus points? Okay.
Yes. Do not get.
We literally.
Are we being graded on a curve?
We literally have like the 3 people at school, like the one who didn't do anything, the one who did a little bit, and the one who just like did it all last minute, but it's really good. Like those are the 3 people.
That is the definition of how I went through school.
It is mine too. I'm like, I was always in charge, and I would always like, we would have a plan, and everybody would have their assignment, but I would totally wait till the last minute, but then also do 50 pages worth. So
see, it's there we go.
It just goes to show you don't really change. So I called it Archidor, which is, again, apologies to Greek speakers, sort of a bastardization of saying first water. And so my idea is, so in Minoan culture, they had a lot of caves. So it's all like on islands and coastal. And so there's a lot of general kind of karstic area. Now I'm just talking geology speak. Do y'all know geology? We're really digging deep today.
We're just going to school.
Oh my God. I want to know who is auditing this class, because I need to write your name separately on a different list. So they have these caves, and of course they fill with water, and they fill with water differently like throughout the year and stuff, but they become very magical places. And this continues in Greco-Roman society. Like since Christmas is coming up, I guess I'll mention Mithras, right? So Mithras, which is a pre-Zoroastrian religion. He's born on December 25th, by the way. One of the big things in his religion is not just cows. Cow did play a role, but these waters in caves, right? And different things happen in these different religions, but a lot of it involves like sort of baptism, putting things in the water, putting things around the water. It's a very human thing to find water and throw shit in it, whether it's people or cloak clasps, if you're Roman. But for Minoans, they definitely had these caves, and a lot of them probably were used for other things like rope making and stuff like that. But I love cave religious stuff. I just love it. Like if a culture has something where there's a religious ceremony that happens in a cave full of water, I'm down. I don't know why, I just love it. I'm sure Freud would figure that out and be wrong, but I'm sure it'd be interesting. So I call it First Waters because it's basically when Jack's people finally are able to leave the mountain because the snows are melting. But when the snows melt, that means all the water flows down to, guess what, where the Minotaurs are. And it would then fill up these pools that are inside these caves. And so I had this idea where everybody comes and they take those very first flowers that are growing in the fields, and everybody brings a flower and they put it into the pool. And then they themselves walk across the pool. And when they get to the other side, they are basically anointed with a little oil that was made from the last of the flowers that grew the previous year, right? So what would be sort of the equivalent of the last flowers in fall would be harvested and turned into the oil that would then be used in spring for this. And then in that because we're cows, I mean, I'm not, to be clear, not a Minotaur, but because they're cows, they have usually, although Minotaurs can be born throughout the year, there's usually a big boom right at the beginning of spring. And so all the under one calves are taken by the elders into the pool for basically their first walkthrough. And again, it's that whole symbology of the herd and everybody taking care of each other and everybody being part of this society. And then the other thing that I really wanted was, because I love the idea of tying ribbons around trees in spring, which is a very like Celtic thing, was that whether they hang them from doorways or hang them in trees or whatever, they have little bells on ribbons and they tie them around where the wind will blow them. And those bells represent wishes for the upcoming cycle. So that was my spring one, which has babies in it. So it's extra cute.
Oh, babies.
Oh, babies. Yeah. I haven't figured out when it happens, but I figure it's got to be like whatever would be sort of the first week that flowers come in, basically.
Look at you guys just doing all this work, and I'm just like, Vikings. But at this point, I'm just like, what do Vikings do at this point? Okay, cool. Let's rename it, and that's what
they all get together and they have a thing. True story.
Yep. It's a thing. Mm-hmm. It's a whole thing.
A whole big old thing.
Yes.
Thing. Yeah. Look it up.
And then because at some point there's going to be something. Because I'm me. There's going to be something that is involved. Like there's going to be baked goods at some point. Always the baked goods. Like,
oh no.
Probably for the rice festival, there will be probably a lot of things made with like rice flour. So a lot of like mochi and stuff like that, and rice cakes and
more rice pudding, because we know that Finland is sort of obsessed with rice pudding.
All the rice pudding, stuff like that. Popped like puffed rice cakes. So like Rice Krispie treats essentially. So basically it's like Rice Krispie treats.
Jinmai Cha is a green tea that has roasted pop rice in it.
Yeah, so all the rice. So if you're reading this and you don't want to know, but I have to go now research rice and all the things that can be done with it and how it is harvested. I know a little bit.
I can tell you that you can make it explode and stick to the ceiling for years. Fun fact.
I will say so. There's
how you get popcorn ceilings?
Yes, it's exactly how they make popcorn ceilings, but pop rice ceilings.
So so there's like I think it was a thing on Tumblr. It's also been on Twitter where it's like when you're a writer and like the FBI is looking up your search history because it's like how to dispose of a body and like all of these search. It's like it's the same thing when you're like somebody who's trying to do some world building because it's like the most obscure random shit that you're trying to find because it's like how is rice harvested around the world and then the next
feel like though that is what saves us from being tracked well by the algorithms because I can tell you they don't know who I am. I get the most random stuff.
Facebook's algorithm really thinks that I am a Black Jewish woman who is interested in firearms.
Oh, I'm Black, I'm queer, I'm small-chested, and I live in England. You nailed it, Facebook. Nailed it.
Facebook's just been giving me ads for techwear because I looked up a pair of pants on Amazon that were techwear, and now they just keep giving me techwear stuff.
This is the thing that happens because I'm a costume committee and people send me links to things and they're like, is this acceptable? So I click on that and now that's part of like the algorithm. So people are like, I see you like really ugly leather shoes. How about these?
Definitely I get a lot of like stuff for natural hair and activism stuff and that sort of thing, but like I click on links for like about vote for Black women and that sort of thing. And so yeah, Facebook genuinely thinks that I might be Black, and I know this for sure because before I was like smart to the whole thing, I did one of those WoW interactions, like the Epic, I don't know what the brand is, but that it doesn't actually look at your profile picture. It goes through your history, and like this one was, which Disney princess or which Disney character do you most look like? And it matched me to Tiana.
Yeah, you look just like her. It's shocking. I know that she's not a Disney princess, and I realize we're on the Seg train coaster now. But hands down, I am Megara. Like,
I love her.
She's not a princess, though.
She's not a princess.
Yeah,
she's not a princess, and she wouldn't want to be. To be fair,
yeah.
She definitely has one of my top 10 favorite songs.
Yeah. So okay, now we're talking about it. The fucking soundtrack for Hercules slaps. Like
it's great
from start to finish.
Yeah,
the fact
I actually love Hercules.
When they went, when they went hard in on
Hunchback.
Actually, I do not like Hunchback very much.
I don't like Hunchback. I don't
like Pocahontas, and I never have.
Oh, me neither.
Nah.
I've seen Pocahontas once, and I'm like, nah.
I never saw Pocahontas because I was already mad. They had just released. My friend was working for the Disney store at the time, and they had just released the like promo trailer for it, right? And I went in, and I was like, is that supposed to be a 13-year-old? And they were like, well, no, she's like 18 here. And I'm like, is that supposed to be an 18-year-old? Also, what?
Pocahontas came out and I was 11 and I saw it and I was like, this movie's kind of terrible. I will say one reason why I watched it is because Christian Bale did a voice and I was and kind of am still a little obsessed with him.
No, I don't even know why you're mumbling at this point.
Well, because here's the thing. In the early 90s, Christian Bale did a series of movies. None of them were connected, but it was Newsies, Swing Kids, and Little Women. And for somebody whose sexuality was just developing around that time, Let me tell you.
I love Christian Bale in Howl's Moving Castle. He is great. I also love that movie. So
Hercules, the Hercules soundtrack fucking slaps. Like they went hard on gospel and like girl group, and I'm like, fuck yes, this is amazing. I love it. And as somebody that was like as a child like extraordinarily obsessed with Greek mythology, I'm like, this is all wrong. But I don't care.
Wrong, but I love it.
I don't care because they went so far into their wrongness that they made that choice. They definitely were like.
I want to tell you something as somebody who is a person who studies a lot of history and a lot of culture and watches a lot of screen time. All right, I'm not ashamed to admit it. If you are going to do something like that, you can't half-ass the thing, because if you like have like okay clothes and then completely modern hair and makeup, you've lost me. If you're gonna go like all in on something historical and like make me stay in the moment, I appreciate that. But that said, there are shows and movies that I really, really like that Knight's
Tale. Knight's Tale.
Because they lean so heavily towards
anachronism,
an aesthetic where you're like, I understand that this is a choice. Like this was a whole aesthetic choice and not, oh my God, what's in the stock closet? Throw something on them.
Because you cannot look at Dennis Osmond's hair and a Knight's Tale and say that's any way historical. They went, it was the early 2000s. They were like, she's like this like riot girl light hairstyles. That's what we're going for. And they just went off that. I'm like, I appreciate this. Thank you, A Knight's Tale. Like they went so far in on the anachronism, and I was just like, yeah, I'm into it. I love it.
I was rewatching it because for the umpteenth time, 20th time, who knows?
Oh, yeah.
And my roommate and I were like discussing the outfit that she wears with like the almost a bucket hat type thing.
Yeah.
And like that was the one that we were most confused about, because like we could definitely realize why all the other weird costumes were in there and all the other anachronisms. But then I like looked it up and I was like, oh no, it's a derby hat. And this is like the derby. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense. And I like that a lot.
So yeah, either go whole hog and do it really, really, really well. You know, Ever After will always be one of my favorite costume movies, right?
I'm excited.
Or
I've been
lean into something like Hercules or A Knight's Tale and just
I'm excited to see like, because they're like they're in the thought process of doing the live action Hercules, and seeing the people who are casting it, like the TikTok people just like doing fan casts, every single one of them, they're like, Danny DeVito has to play Phil.
Clearly,
they're like, if he doesn't, the movie's gonna suck. Right?
And I need to play Megara.
So,
the amount of people,
I'm not too old.
If you want to do this, like, be wrong and be secure in your wrongness.
Yeah, be secure in your wrongness.
Be secure in your wrongness. They're like,
but
yeah, you're wrong.
Women, Uggs. I don't know how we went from like
out of clouds. Sure.
D&D to critiquing costumes and shows. That's fine. All right.
But this brings it back to winter festivals, which brings me back to one of my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Winter, Christmas. Well, and critiquing costumes. It goes to the critiquing of costumes, because Abby Cox critiqued the costumes in A Muppet Christmas Carol, and I concur with her. They are amazing. And A Muppet Christmas Carol is also my favorite version of A Christmas Carol. It's not because I'm a giant Muppets fan, but because I'm also a pretty big Dickens fan, and it is, I swear to Christ, the most faithful adaptation of that fucking book.
My favorite Muppets, and this will surprise no one who knows me, are Waldorf and Stadler. So any show that's got a lot of Waldorf and Stadler, you got me.
Yeah. So like,
so we're in our hour.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna leave and continue doing my errands. Yes. I love her. I'm gonna put her in a way. I'm gonna figure out a place. I might have to actually put her in like a box or a case. Segment normally doesn't eat plushy stuff, but she was kind of interested in the hair, so I might have to put her back in the box for a minute, and then when I get back home, figure out a place to put her and store her where Segment won't eat her hair.
Okay.
But thank you all very much.
Yes.
This is my cheesy grin. I'm like, if I give you like my actual grin, it would look real weird. So I just do the cheesy one. So, all right, you guys continue talking. I will talk to you guys later.
All right. I guess, but that's.
I mean, I was gonna do some. Yeah. So actually, when we were talking about Christmas Carol, so I'm getting those source books for our one shot.
And bring up the one shot.
So it's Christmas Carol themed, but I probably won't ever run the one shot with the physical books. So we might do a giveaway. I might just do a giveaway on Yas Forum if anybody wants the physical books.
Ooh, I love it.
So
watch the one shot. I think
the one shot's for patrons. So there's like only
four.
That's right. There's
Never
only
mind.
4 people who can get it. So we will either do it on. We'll either do it on the OOC because there's a way to do giveaways on Twitch, like in the chat. So either we'll do that or we'll do it on Facebook. We'll see.
All right. So keep your eyes out.
Yes. Giveaway for a bunch of stuff for a Christmas Carol one shot if any of you want to run that next year. So yeah, I guess that's it for our live today. We hope you
one more bit of education because like this is a big
it's been
deal
super
to
educational.
Me. Yeah, big deal to me and I don't know that if we've brought it up before because I'm ADD and can't remember things. But this is actually the sign language sign for applause. It is not jazz hands. That is
this is jazz hands, my friends. This is jazz hands. This is applause.
And these are spirit fingers, or I agree with you. I relate to that. I resonate with that.
This is applause.
Yes. And it was I had a whole rant on Facebook a few years ago because the school district that I was actively angry at told us that, oh, you can't applaud during school board meetings, but you can give jazz hands. And I was like, no.
Oh.
You will.
We're coming
this
like
is
this.
Applause. It is a whole language.
Yeah.
Ask me about my relationship with HISD if you want me to go on a whole rant.
Everybody, say down below if you want another rant. In them.
So yeah.
All right, we should let everybody go because
it's have a happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, happy Christmas Eve. We'll see y'all next Wednesday for our episode, and then Thursday after that, another OOC.
Who knows what we'll talk about? We don't.
We'll be talking about the episode, actually, and not giving away spoilers like we were trying to do today.
No spoilers. You mean exclusive? What did I call them?
They're spoilers.
Okay.
We're spoiling it for everyone who hasn't seen it yet.
I like to call them very specific teasers.
Yeah, teasers. It's fine. All right.
Oh, well, okay, so if we're doing very specific teasers, this coming episode that you guys will be seeing, we're going to have a super special guest there who recorded with us.
Super special guest.
Yes. So you don't, it was fun.
I will make a post about that. I promise. But you don't want to miss it.
So yes, that's it. Goodbye, everybody. We love y'all.